I've had a lot of women will say to me, like strong, independent women, who will say, I may be a boss at work, but I'm with a man. I want to feel like a woman. I want him to take charge. I don't want to have to tell him what to do. If I always have to tell a man what to do, it makes me feel like he's a child and I'm his mother, and I don't want to be his mother. But the thing is, see, a lot of men really don't realize how important this is. They think, they've heard all this negative stuff about men being controlling and toxic and all these terrible things. And they'll think, well, I'll be a great guy. I'll be a good guy. I'll just let her decide everything. That way, no one will accuse me of being controlling. And if we just do it her way, she should be happy. So why isn't she happy?
This is episode number 550 with Elliott Katz. How to get your man to wear the pants so you don't have to. Fantastic topic. Can't wait to dive in with Elliott. But before then, I want to just say hi. I'm Sandy Weiner, and welcome back to Last First Date Radio, where we believe it is never too late to go on your last first date. And to support you on your journey to lasting love, I wrote 2 books. The first one is Becoming a Woman of Value. This book is for women who want to succeed in all areas of life and love. It's available on Kindle and paperback on Amazon. And the second book was just released on Valentine's Day. It's called Choice Points in Dating. I wrote this book to empower people to make healthier choices at every stage of dating and relationships. And you can find this one on Amazon for Kindle or paperback as well. This week's tip is step number 21. Your past doesn't limit you. And what I mean by that is so many people say, well, I grew up this way, or my family was really dysfunctional, and that's why I had these relationships that didn't work out, or I wasn't able to have a relationship and I'm 50 years old now, and I obviously can never have one. And I can tell you that that's not true. I've helped many, many people to really work through any kind of dysfunctional past and create healthy, loving relationships. So I encourage you this week to really look at your limiting beliefs around your past and ask yourself, what can I do differently so that I don't repeat the past and not let it limit me? And before I bring Elliott on, I want to ask you to join my amazing Facebook group. It's called Your Last First Date. So if you're not yet a member, you need to go over there. If you're a woman over 40, this group is a place where you will grow, you will get positive support, you will have videos from me every week. I have 7 fabulous monitors who keep this group safe and sane, as opposed to so many other groups out there. So come on over to Your Last First Date on Facebook. And now for my guest, Elliott Katz. He is a relationship coach, and he's the author of Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom on Being a Man. It's been translated into 24 languages, and he's also the author of How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to, inspiring him to take the lead, more decisions, and stop leaving it all to you. And we're going to be talking about that. Elliott, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Welcome back to the show, I should say. You were on my podcast in 2013, I think.
2013, 10 years ago.
Yeah, when I first started this podcast. And we probably were talking about your first book, I'm imagining, right?
Right.
Yeah, this topic just really got my attention because I have seen so many women say, I do too much. Why don't the man ever wear the pants? So what inspired you to write this book?
It's like you said, I wrote this first book, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants. And a lot of women who read it said to me, well, how do I get my man to start wearing the pants in our family? How do I get him to take charge? Because I'm fed up with him just waiting for me to tell him what to do, or not being, if I ask for his input on a decision, he just says, whatever you want, you decide. How do I do that? So I said, well, there's need for a new book for women, telling them how to get your man to wear the pants, how to get him to take the lead, how to get him to take charge of things, and how to get him to make decisions. I mean, I've talked to a lot of men. A lot of men will say, why does she ask me to make all these decisions? They really don't matter to me. Yes, that's why I say whatever you want, because it doesn't matter to me. And I explain to them, when you make a decision, it makes the woman feel safe and protected. That's what she wants. Just make the decision. And if it doesn't matter to you, then it's easy to make the decision. Just make it.
I do hear this complaint a lot. And in fact, I think that many of the women I work with are strong, successful women who are used to making all the decisions, and they want to have a partner who is part of that decision making and part of the take the lead so they don't have to do that in relationships. And yeah, so you're saying that men don't feel they should be taking the lead because they don't care, right? So
Well, one
tell me
reason
some
is they don't
reasons.
care. So I just to support what you just said, I've had a lot of women will say to me, like strong, independent women, who will say, I may be a boss at work, but I'm with a man. I want to feel like a woman. I want him to take charge. I don't want to have to tell him what to do. You know, one woman said to me, if I always have to tell a man what to do, it makes me feel like he's a child and I'm his mother and I don't want to be his mother. So but the thing is, see, a lot of men really don't realize how important this is. They think, they've heard all this negative stuff about men being controlling and toxic and all these terrible things. And they'll think, well, I'll be a great guy. I'll be a good guy. I'll just let her decide everything. That way, no one will accuse me of being controlling. And if we just do it her way, she should be happy. So why isn't she happy? I'm doing everything I can to please her. Whatever she wants me to do, I do. Why isn't she happy? And I explained to them, because that's not what she wants. She really wants you to step forward and take charge. Like I said, it makes her feel safe and protected. It makes her feel like, it makes her feel special when you step forward. And you talk about the last first date. So I know one of the common situations, and I've heard this so many times. A man will call up a woman and ask her out. Would you like to go out Saturday night? And she says yes. What did you have in mind? I don't know. What would you like to do? Don't ever say that. I tell men, don't ever say that. Be a man with a plan. Think about what you know about her, what you know about yourself. What would you both enjoy doing? Because if you even on the first date, your first date, you're going out for coffee to talk to each other, get to know each other. If you can't even choose a place to go for a cup of coffee, how are you going to handle the challenges of marriage and family life? That's the way she looks at it. I've had women say it's a big strike against the man if he can't even decide where to go out on a first date. But the man, he thinks, I'm showing her I'm not controlling. I'm showing her I want to make her happy. We'll do it your way. We'll do what you want. Why isn't she happy? Why does she not want to go out with me again? So it says that, like, it's really so important. I'm just to clarify, no one's saying be controlling. Nobody wants a controlling tyrant. But when he's so passive and he's just like, oh, whatever you want, you decide, just let the woman decide everything. And I've had like, I once met with a psychologist about another issue, and he tells me he does counseling. He actually tells me, just do whatever your wife tells you to do. I said, you got to be joking. You got to be joking.
Right.
Anyway.
The happy wife, happy life is it's so ingrained in people. And I think people have gone to the other extreme, like with the whole Me Too movement. People have gone to the extreme of, well, I don't want to do the toxic masculinity. I don't want to be controlling, like you said. And so a lot of men will defer to the woman, and the woman wants the man to take charge. And we're in this conundrum. So a lot of women get really annoyed when a man says, what do you want to do? And so what can a woman do differently when a man says, whatever you want to do?
Just to clarify, I do believe a happy wife is a happy life, but the main thing is to realize just doing whatever she tells you to do does not make her happy. That's the thing. So on a first date, when a man asks you what, and he says, "Oh, I don't know, would you like to do?" Just say, "I don't have any ideas. I'm sure you could come up with some ideas, and could you do some research and think about something that we both enjoy doing? That would make me happy." A man thinks, see, the whole point of my book is to say, what does a man need to hear, so that you tell him in a way that he doesn't feel criticized or attacked, but he feels good about it, and he feels good about doing what you want him to do. So if you say, it would make me happy if you could find a place, find something nice that we could do. Oh, it'll make her happy? Okay, because I want to make her happy. He thought he was making her happy, leaving the decision to her. But now you say, oh, it would make you happy if I decide? Okay, I'll plan something.
I am totally with you here. I think that a lot of women just get annoyed, but they never speak up and they never say what they do want. And so I know that for some dating coaches for men have suggested that a man come to the phone call or whatever, with a suggestion of Do you like Italian or Chinese? Like give her a couple of options. So what you're saying is that if they're not giving you those options, to say, here's what would make me happy. I would love for you to come up with some ideas and I will choose, so they're both collaborating on this, but she sees that he's taking action.
Like one thing I've heard many times is a man will say, I work hard all day. I come home, I do it, what I ask my wife what she wants me to do, and I do whatever she wants. I wash the dishes, I give the kids baths, I change diapers, I put them to bed. I'm going nonstop. And then she says, you're not doing enough. I said, well, I'm going nonstop from the minute I come home till I collapse into bed. How could you say I'm not doing enough? It's because part of the problem is men, as I'm sure you know, men and women speak different languages. You see, so when a woman says you're not doing enough, and I explain this to men, see what she's really saying is you're not taking charge. Yeah, when if you come home and ask her what to do, and you just do whatever she tells you to do, that's being a mother's helper. That's not being a husband and father. Husband and father comes home, sees what's going on, says, "Oh, there's a problem here. This needs to be fixed. Oh, our kid isn't doing his homework. I better do something about it." You take charge, you take the lead. That's what a father and a husband should do. So that's when she says, "You're not doing enough." That's what she means. She doesn't want to have to figure out there's a problem. She has to figure out the solution, what to do about this, what to do about that's a lot of work. It's a real burden on her, and you're putting all that burden on her, and you think you're making her happy. You're not making her happy. You see a problem, step forward and deal with it. If your son is still wetting the bed and he's whatever old he is, figure out a solution, do some research. Don't just say, oh, what should we do? Don't assume that, the woman knows everything about running the home and raising the kids. You have to be a partner to it too. And, I tell men, you may think your job is just to bring in the money. And, but you know what? If your marriage dissolves, she'll be paying her money anyway. She really wants you to take charge and not put all that burden on her.
A lot of people complain, a lot of women complain that a man doesn't see what's wrong. He doesn't take the lead because he doesn't even pick up on those things. Or a woman feels like she's told the man 100 times. This is a common thing in relationships. I hear from women who say, I don't want to ask him every time to help with the groceries. I don't want to ask him every time to help with the kids, put the kids to bed, whatever the case is. And, we're talking about marriage now, and most of our listeners are not married. They're in partnership or looking for partnership. And they can get really caught up in the fact that the person doesn't get it, even after being told many times. So, what do you suggest if a woman has told a man several times, I really want you to take the garbage out, or when I come home with groceries, I would love for you to help me unpack them, take them out of the car. Why do I have to tell you every time? What's a good way for a woman to stop doing that and have a man really step up?
I have two suggestions in the book. One is, like I said, tell him it would make me happy. Depending what the situation is, you say, I need your help with this. I appreciate what you do over here, but I really need your help with this. It would make me happy if when I come home with the groceries, you could help me carry them in and put them away. Just tell them, oh, it makes, because see, it really depends. Men really don't like when women start complaining and criticizing them because they feel, I do a lot for you. I really try to make you happy. And then I do all these things, but then you find these things that I don't do, and you complain about them, criticize me for it. It really doesn't make the man feel good. So you have to give him credit for what he does, and then say, it would make me happy if you would also do this. Another thing to do is a lot of men, they come home, they think all the things they got to do at home, and then they come home, they walk in the door, the wife attacks them with, yeah, I need you do this, do this, do this, and like it's overwhelming. So what I say is take a piece of paper, put the days of the week on, and say, okay, Monday, put down what tasks you will do each day and what each person will do each day, and post it on the fridge. And then when you know that, okay, on Monday, I have to help with the groceries. Well, then he knows he's going to come home. He's going to help with the groceries. I think sometimes when you have to keep reminding him, it's because he's got so many other things on his plate that you're just sort of jumping on him. Main thing is, if he knows in advance that you need him to do these things, and you tell him how happy it will make you, because that's really the key thing. A man really wants his wife to be happy, and when when she's not, and sometimes he just doesn't have a clue what to do. So tell her, it will make me happy if you do this.
Yeah, those are the secret words.
How many times do you hear
People,
women say that? It would make me happy if you would take charge and solve this problem. Because so many times, like I said, the man thinks, "Oh, I'm doing what she wants. I'll let her do it. That should make her happy."
let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Music Unlimited. You can listen to over 70 million songs and thousands of playlists and stations. Plus, you can now stream your favorite podcasts like Last First Date Radio. You can listen to any song, anytime, anywhere, on any of your devices. Get Amazon Music Unlimited for free for 30 days. Just head on over to getamazonmusic.com/last first date to learn more and claim this offer. When I work with women and they're at the beginning stages of dating, I'll often give them the sentence stem of, like, if a man doesn't plan a date, they'll say, I love a man with a plan, just to
Right.
be able to put that out there, or to say, I make decisions all day in my work and I love when a man takes charge. Just setting him up for, I love it when you do this, it just makes me happy, will give
Right.
him the script, because people are terrible mind readers. And I think a lot of people think, well, if he loves me or if she loves me, this would happen. But we can't
He
read each
should
other's
know.
minds. Right. We should
That's what
know.
that's what I talk about in the book. He says he should know. He should know I want him to be the man of the family. He should know I wanted him to make me feel safe and protected, but he really doesn't. And that, like I said, like so many men have said to me, I was married 30 years. I didn't know this. This was important to her. So he can't read your mind. And really, a woman is able to teach him in a way that makes him feel good. Say, it would make me happy if you do this. If you ask him for his input on a decision and he says, "Oh, whatever you want, you decide," and he thinks, "Well, I'm making her happy. We'll just do whatever you want. She should be happy." Say to him, "What I want is to know what you want. That would make me happy." I respect men who can make decisions. I think it's very manly. I find it very attractive. Oh, okay. I'll do it. But otherwise, he really thinks, I'm making her happy. What could be better? We'll do it your way.
Yeah. So what I want is for you to help me make a decision. It's collaborative, and it's not just, I don't really want to make a decision. I don't want to be part of this, because that's the way it comes off, is now you're responsible for everything once again. And that feels awful.
Oh, exactly, exactly. A lot of men think, and I tell them, you got to learn. They think, well, I'll let her decide everything, and that way, if it goes wrong, well, you can't blame me because you made the decision. Doesn't work that way, because she's still going to hold you responsible. She'll think, well, why did you let me do that? Why did you let me paint the walls green? Why, you should have known it was wrong. And even though he knows the wrong, he thinks, well, I'll just let her do it. Or even a worse situation is when a man is like pressured into doing something that he knows is wrong and he gives in to his wife. Then it goes wrong just like he thought, and then he starts blaming her. I said, don't blame her. You take responsibility. Really, what being a man is about, and I teach men, it's about taking responsibility for what's going on in your home. You can't just come in and let her do everything, and then, well, if it goes badly, then, well, it's your fault. No, you knew what was going on. If she spends you broke and you think you're a victim of your wife, people will say, well, why did you let it go on? Aren't you the man in the house? Well, you have to take responsibility. So that's why I teach men. And the woman, she wants the man to take responsibility. She wants him to say, "Well, this isn't a good idea. We shouldn't do this. This will cause us financial stress. We shouldn't do this." Oh, okay. Well, he's showing that he cares, because I see situations where men were just trying to pay for everything their wives wanted, and their wives really didn't understand that they were getting into serious debt, and then the whole thing collapses and they end up divorced. And he thinks, well, I was trying so hard to please her. I was trying to pay for everything she wanted, even though she would have known, like, well, we can't afford this. She would have gone along with it, but he was trying to be this nice, nice guy. So take responsibility. That's key. Don't blame her for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, responsibility on both parts is so huge. I think also you bring up another thing that comes to mind, which is a lot of times partners will try to please each other in ways that aren't pleasing to the other person. So I can remember sometimes when my ex-husband would get me a gift and it really was not a gift I would appreciate. Um, he took feedback really poorly, but in the very beginning of our marriage, he bought me a dress. I remember he went to one of those big box club kind of stores like Costco, Sam's Club with his mother, and brought me back a dress, which was very thoughtful, but it was like awful. And I appreciated him for buying it and said, you know, it's not my style. I'll go back. You want to go back with me and we'll pick out something else. But a lot of women get really annoyed when a man gets them something that they don't want or tries to please them in a way that isn't pleasing, when what they're really looking for is spending time together or hearing nice words and the love languages, like understanding each other's love languages. So I'm curious what you have to say about that.
Well, what you're saying is true, but then it's almost like she's expecting him to read her mind, right? And so really, one way to say to get him to understand what you're thinking, what's important to you, really is to say, this isn't my style, but it would make me really happy to just we go for out for a nice dinner instead of buying me a clothing. It would make me happy. We can go out for a nice dinner, and if tell him how what he needs to do to make him happy. That's really what this new book is about. Like, communicate to him in a way that makes him feel good about doing it, and don't expect him to read your mind. Don't expect that he should know all these things, because he really doesn't, and he means well. Like, that's like I said, I mean, so many men divorced, like, they're good people, they worked hard, they really wanted the best for their family, but you got to communicate to him, because in our generation, so many men, they grew up without fathers, or fathers who were passive or weren't involved. They really didn't learn what a man should be in a relationship. So you can teach him. That's the whole point of my book. You could say to him, you know, like, one common complaint I hear from women is that a man won't help them plan a vacation. So, and he says, "Here, you plan the vacation. I'll pay for it. Whatever you want, whatever you want." And just say to him, it would really be helpful to hear your ideas, what we should do. It would make me happy if we could work on this together. Oh, he thinks he's making her happy by telling her to plan the whole vacation herself. She's saying, what would make me happy is that we do it together. Okay, if that would make you happy, I will do it because I want you to be happy. That's really the main thing to realize. The men are doing things. I've talked to women who will say, like, we're in a difficult situation. I expected my husband to stand up and take charge and protect me, and he just waited for me to handle it. But I can tell you that I'm sure he thought, oh, I'm showing I'm a modern, like, man who believes in equality. I'll let my wife handle it. I'm sure he thought that, but you say, it would make me happy in those situations if you would stand up for me. That's really important to me. It would, just say, oh, you mean, we're not equal, we're not the same. Do you expect things from me? Okay, really, that a lot of men, even talking about a date last first date, I've had so many women say to me, one of the things women do on a first date, especially, is they'll offer to pay for themselves, or they'll offer to pay the whole thing. And sometimes men will say, "Oh, well, I'll show her I'm a modern man who believes in equality. I'll let her pay." And then they don't want to go out with them again. The men don't understand why she offered to pay. So men have to realize she's testing you to see if you'll insist on paying. But men, they don't. But today's man doesn't realize he really thinks he's making her happy. She offered to pay. Okay, I'm showing her I'm a modern man who believes in equality. Men have to learn these. My point is, men didn't learn these things, and they have to learn them. And a woman could teach a man a lot of these ideas in a positive way that makes them feel good. As, oh, this would make you happy. Okay, I'll do this for you because I want you to be happy.
So that sounds like the ideal, right? It would be lovely if a woman just says, I want you to make me happy. It would make me happy if we did this together, if you did this for me. And what happens if men just don't do it. Like that it's pretty common that a woman will say something like this and a man will still miss the cues. He won't pick up on things. How how many times does she need to say, this would make me happy? And when does she just bail?
Well, it's an interesting question because, I've talked to women who will try this. Like a man will ask them out, and then she'll say, "Yeah, okay. What did you have in mind? I'll come meet you wherever you'd like to go." And he'll say, "Oh, no, no, you choose a place, and it would make me happy if you would choose a place because they're so afraid of and that's there's well, if she doesn't like the place, she'll complain. It's almost like they're afraid of being criticized or they don't want her to complain. They don't. So I think the point is like, okay, in that situation, it's the first date. I don't know what you tell women, but I would say just say, okay, I'll choose the first date, the place for the first date, but you choose the place for the second date. Like sort of let you could because a lot of the times men do this is because they're afraid of taking the lead. They've taken the lead before they got shut down, so they're afraid, but you really build them up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Don't give up on the first time. Keep trying, especially if he's a decent, that the point is if he's a decent person and he just needs to learn these things and just keep trying. Try a bunch of times. It's not worth giving up on a good person just because they don't understand these things and, they don't really know how important it is. That's what it is. They just don't know how important it is. I can tell you on my own journey, I asked myself, gee, is it really so important that I choose where we go on the date? Is it really so important that she asked me all these questions that really aren't that important to me, but I make the decisions? It really is. It really is. I remember one woman I was dating a few years ago. She said to me, "You date well. What are you doing?" As if like I'd put a spell on her. And she said, I said, Are you making fun of me?" She said, "No, you're a good dater. What are you doing?" So I said, well, I took all the new ideas about dating and I put them out of my head. And whenever I ask you out, I have a plan of what I think we should do. Let's go to this restaurant. They have great lasagna. I think you'll like it. She really liked that. And so if you ask me, is it really that important? It is. It is. And men don't understand that. That's the point. That's why I wrote this book. And it's a woman's opportunity. If he's a good guy and he's worth, you know, trying to have a relationship with, like to make the effort to teach him these things in a way that in a positive way that makes him feel good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that people judge too quickly often, and they'll just rule somebody out because they asked too many questions right away, or they didn't pick up the first check, or it's a confusing world. I mean, let's just face it. I have had these discussions in my Facebook group where there are differences in how people are raised and what age they are, because my group ranges from people in their 30s to their 70s, and the older women want more chivalry. They want men to take care of them in a way, like even though they can take care of themselves, there is this hard wiring for women to want a man to provide, protect, at least show that they're willing to or want to. And the younger women say, well, no, I really think that there should be equality. I should offer to pay and there should be equality from the start. My feeling about this is no matter how old you are, I think that when a man shows effort and puts in energy and effort, and really both parties, but when a man invests time, energy, effort into the courtship process, then a woman feels safe to get into a relationship with him and to give, because I think it's a very natural thing for most women to want to give, to want to say, hey, I'll make you a 5 course meal before there is a relationship. And so I think that the courtship phase, a man is showing up with that energy that he's investing into the relationship, and then when you're in a relationship, there's more equality. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I agree. It's interesting. I don't hear many younger women saying, "Oh, I want to pay the bill." Really, I remember talking to this one woman, very attractive. She was about 30 years old, and she told me she went out with a guy that she met, one of these apps, and they went out for dinner, and the check came, and she offered to put her credit card on it, and he let her pay. And she says, "Now we can't understand why I won't go out with him again." I think that most women want the man to pay for the first date, and she'll offer to pay as a way to see if he'll insist on paying. Maybe, maybe later on they might, she might pay, he might pay, or they divide it. But I think for the first date, it's important. That's what I've seen in the women I've spoken to say that. But I really think the point of both of my books is really that human nature really hasn't changed. That the men want certain things. That want a woman to be their partner, and a woman wants to be treated, you know, and made to feel special, wants to feel loved, wants to feel safe and protected. She's not another man. she's not. She's not one of the guys. uh, it's so I mean, I'm surprised to hear you say that, but I think they still want to be treated properly, and the sad thing is, like, a lot of the messages that men hear in the media, don't be controlling, and it's like what we were discussing earlier. Oh, okay, I'll just let her decide everything, and that way you can't accuse me of being controlling. Yeah, but but you're still not taking charge and being the kind of man she wants. So my general inclination is that really, excuse me, human nature hasn't changed.
Yeah, I think we're pretty hardwired to be a certain way in terms of relationships, and I think it's a whole different set of rules in the workplace, and I don't think you can compare the two. Women having equality, women powering over in certain ways, and all of that. But um, tell us, Elliot, what are your final words of advice for anyone who wants to go on their last first date?
Well, if the last first date, uh, first of all, if let him choose, let him choose the place. If he doesn't have a place in mind, ask him that you think about a place. Because tell him you don't have any ideas. But the main thing is, like I was saying, if a person's a decent person, uh, so you realize, okay, he's not perfect, and a lot of men, really, the point of my book is a lot of men just didn't learn these things. Like, all the messages they hear are just the opposite. So you are able to teach them these things in a positive way that makes them feel good. If, like I said, if you say, it would make me happy if you would help me with this, it would make me happy if you could make this decision. I like it when men make decisions. Say you're teaching him, and because he didn't learn these things, but he's a decent person. So if you could teach him those things, you could have a happy relationship as a result of your last first date.
So if he's a decent guy, he's going to be receptive, and if he's not a decent guy, you'll know pretty early on, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. If he's not a decent person, it's just not worth pursuing, right? But like you say, people are quick to judge. Often, I mean, this. Often, a person's very nervous on a first date,
Mhm.
and you know, maybe they're very quiet. They don't want to talk to you. You think, oh, they don't like me. They're not talking to me. But then, it takes maybe 2, 3 dates. Oh, they warm up. They feel more comfortable, and then you really see their good qualities. I think that's very important too.
Yeah, I love this approach. I think it's really important to just bring more awareness to the fact that people are not mind readers, that people who are decent people will be receptive to learning each other, and so that they can make each other happy. And that's really the key.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah. So Elliot, tell our audience where they can find you.
Okay, my website is www.elliottKatz.com, ELLIOTT, that's two T's, KATZ.com. And my books, How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants, so you don't have to. And my earlier one, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants. This is sometimes women buy this book and give it to the men in their lives and say, "This is what I want you to be." They're both on Amazon as a paperback, an ebook, and an audiobook. And the audiobook is quite popular, I think, because people can listen to while they're driving. So, but if you have any questions or comments, you want coaching, I'd be happy to talk to you. I'm really on a mission to help people not get divorced, or if they're divorced, to help, have a happier relationship the next time around. So I'm welcome hearing from everyone.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the work that you're doing, Elliot, and it's really great to have you back on the podcast.
Okay. Thanks, Sandy.
Thanks, everybody, for listening today. If you love our show, please give us a high rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, here's to your last first date. If you are ready to get unstuck, gain new tools, become more empowered, and finally find your last first date, I'd love to talk to you. Fill out an application to be considered for a complimentary half-hour love breakthrough session at lastfirstdate.com/application.